Well, the camera's not playing tricks on you. This is my twin brother, Matt, and he is just getting back into gig work, driving for Uber Eats. So, as a fellow gig worker in the same marketplace, I want to look at this video and see how his shift goes. Compare this with your gig earnings. Maybe comment that down below. Are you even trying Uber Eats? Do you do a lot of Uber Eats? How are the earnings for you? And let's compare with someone just getting back into this gig work. Ultimately, in 2026, is Uber Eats worth it?
I wasted money and my trip hasn't even begun. Well, let's take a look at the map, and on this shift, it was really busy. Hello again, my name is Matt. I am Mike's twin brother on his channel, Your Driver Mike. Today, I am driving Uber Eats, and I'm gonna see how much money I can make. And you can see by the map, the entire city was red. It's the weekend, it is cold, it is rainy. The perfect time to make the most amount of money, but I got a little greedy. I kept seeing all these orders come in. It was $7, $6, and I wanted something over 10. Well, there was an order I regretted passing up. How about this one for a backdrop, guys? We just dropped off downtown Pittsburgh. Let's go to the next one. But as you see in the video, once we begun, it was no stopping the demand. The orders are non-stop. I had a triple stacked order this morning. I had multiple regular stacked orders at the same restaurant as well. So right now I'm in Pittsburgh's CMU University area. I'm going to pick up a order from Sushi Fuku. It has been absolutely busy all day, which is what you want. So let's go ahead and pick up this order. All right, so we just dropped off that order from Sushi Fuku. Now, the one thing I noticed is now as I wait for the next order, Uber Eats seems to be giving me multiple orders from the exact same restaurant. Maybe it's because I'm right down the street. It might be that I'm the closest driver, but these orders are very far away, so I'm gonna pass and wait for something a little closer. The orders have been coming in all day today, but the thing I've noticed is when Uber Eats sends you a request to match, if you're not fast enough, and I know this was on the older platform, if you're not fast enough, another driver is going to take that order. So make sure to look at the dollars per mile. If it's on target or near what you're trying to make, go ahead and grab it before another driver does. The one thing I really remembered specific to this shift is how much the weather impacts the demand. It has been absolutely nonstop, and I don't know if you can tell, it's just a really dreary day today. So nobody wants to go and walk to the restaurant. They'd rather, if they can, get food delivery. So especially if you're in a rainy part of your season, a colder season right now, like we are when filming, it is a great time, especially on the weekend, to drive because more people are staying at home on the weekend. They're trying to have a break, and especially when the weather is bad, you can really get out there and maximize how much money you make. Now, something also to keep in mind, because it is the weekend, make sure to pay attention to if there are sporting events, maybe a big concert in your area. I know if there's a big game going on in my city, certain areas are just going to be more congested and more difficult to drive. And parking is going to be a little more challenging. So those are some things as you choose your orders, you want to decide what is parking like? What are the crowds going to be like? And can I get in? Can I get out to make the most money? Absolutely miserable out right now, but this is exactly the best time to drive. So we're gonna go ahead and pick up this order from Thai Outlet and take it to the customer and probably wrap it up after that. Okay, that one from Thai Outlet was not too bad. Now, the main thing that I've come across in this shift is parking. One of the hardest things to find, especially on the weekend, but even if you have to park somewhere temporarily, I put on my four-ways, my blinkers, and get in and get out back to your car. Now, there's no guarantees. You always want to kind of play it by ear, but especially if you can park right around the corner and put on your four-ways, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. In fact, earlier on this shift, I had to drop off an order downtown to a high-rise, probably one of the tallest buildings in Pittsburgh, and an area that has the hardest parking. So I actually had to end up parking in an alleyway and put on my four-ways. There were employees outside having a lunch break, and again, you got to do what you got to do. So I walked across the street, I met the person, the customer in the lobby, I dropped it off, and I went back to my car. So sometimes, again, temporary situations are necessary just to get in and get out and move on to the next customer. Now, the big question mark is, am I going to get tips? In the last shift I drove, I had $1, $2 tips, and then the large $15 and I think $8 tip really helped me out. Now, of course, there's no guarantees if you're going to get a tip, but you can really give yourself the best chance by doing the best practices that Mike talks about on Your Driver Mike. Make sure to have a heat insulated bag to keep the food fresh and warm, and make sure to follow the drop-off instructions. I am rather surprised at the demand for Uber Eats right now. Again, it's a Saturday, it's around 2:30 p.m. So you would think that maybe demand would slow down, but the students are back in the area. There's a lot of universities here. So again, know your city, because you can strategically take orders around those areas. Earlier on one of my deliveries, I purposely chose orders that would send me back to the area of all the universities, because that's where the students are. A mistake that I used to make as a driver, whenever I say you want to strategically take your orders, I would not drive all the way across the city just to chase a surge zone. So what you want to do is take deliveries that can place you nearby restaurants, but don't waste your gas, don't waste your time driving all the way across town just because there's a multiplier. If you can, it's actually a lot better sometimes to take shorter trips that add up versus driving way across the city just to get a 2 or maybe 2.5 multiplier on a boost. So that's what I've seen on this shift. I'm going for a lot of deliveries, as many as I can, even if they're $7, $8. My goal is over $25 an hour. All right, we might have time for one more after this, so let's go ahead and drop this one off. All right, it's almost 3 p.m. We got about 30 more minutes. I'm gonna try to sneak in one more delivery before I have to end the shift, but we're gonna go ahead and look at the revenue at the end of the video on ShiftMate. That is a Your Driver Mike created app to help you make the most money in your side hustle economy. So ShiftMate results at the end of the video. Let's see if we get one more delivery. Remember what I said earlier about matching an order before somebody else takes it? I snagged a $6.50 order from Chipotle right down the street, and I snagged it quick before somebody else could. I know that the parking is great. I'll be in and out. Now, it's a 20-minute ETA. Again, I have around 30 minutes left in my day, so a 20-minute ETA for about $6.50, not too bad. I'm gonna go ahead and take it. I don't know if any of you also feel this way, but a restaurant's reputation matters so much. I got into that Chipotle and it was literally ready within 5 seconds. Versus a not so reliable restaurant, I've waited, actually I had a stacked order from Popeyes. I waited an extra 5, maybe 10 minutes. Now, when that happens, you have to communicate to the customer, hey, your order's not ready yet. But I specifically chose this Chipotle because I know they're typically good and it paid off. So as you're driving, try to remember which restaurants are good and which ones you're typically waiting at. And that allowed me to snag an extra $6.50. I'm probably going to be ahead of schedule, which gives you more opportunity to make money from more tips. Now, most restaurants at this point, you would hope, have things together. They know how DoorDash works. They know how Uber Eats works. But there are still some, for whatever reason, that I find myself waiting at for orders longer than I should. Those are the numbers. Let me know what you think of this video. Again, this is Matt. I am Mike's twin brother on his channel, Your Driver Mike. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.